Stocks, crypto, real estate. Everyone knows that holding these investments can make you wealthy over the long term. But what are the top performing non-traditional investments that you can invest in today? You know, the ones that can get you really, really rich, or the ones that normally the already ultra wealthy invest into. In this video, we're going over 7 of the best alternative non-obvious investments that can see explosive growth and value. If you want to invest like the top 1%, then you'll want to stick until the end. Let's get started. Okay, so as strange as it sounds, investing in wine not only has the potential for future growth and value, but it's also tangible, unlike many other investments. While stocks and bonds go through cycles and ups and downs, collectibles like fine wine often deliver returns with no correlation to traditional assets. This is a great way to diversify your portfolio because of how unique the value of wine is. Its value is based on the factors that often have nothing to do with how the economy is doing, or interest rates, or things like consumer trends. If you ever take up wine tasting as a hobby in the future, we think it's worth investing into, and it's definitely an option for you to level up your wine game. So now let's talk about the next one. Usually when people think of cars, they think depreciating hunks of metal. You drive off a lot and it loses 30% of its value, stuff like that. This one is interesting because it can actually make you a lot of money. It's super non-traditional, but unfortunately you sort of have to have a lot of money to do it, and that is buying and selling exotic cars. We've seen prices go tremendously on both used and new cars. It all comes down to supply and demand. Supply is low for exotic cars and demand is up. Cars like that, which can become classics, will perform well in price for the long term. If you can buy these types of more special cars at the bottom of their depreciation curve, you'll often find that they tend to bounce back up in price at some point, as long as the mileage is low, or they'll hold value quite well and act as an inflation hedge. So yes, it's crazy, but if you have the cash and connections to buy certain cars, then you'll pay less in the long run than driving a Mercedes E-Class, for example. So this won't apply to many of you guys watching this video, but it's great to know that someday when you have the capital and connections, you will be able to make a lot of money owning really cool cars, which is a super crazy thing. Okay, so the next section we're talking about is art, which is a really high performing asset. It's an asset that is steadily growing in popularity among other alternative investments, with the average billionaire holding $31 million worth of art, and it makes sense why. Like gold, art is a commodity with the ability to appreciate in value over time and yield fantastic returns, which is why tons of famous celebrities and entrepreneurs like Leonardo DiCaprio, Kylie Jenner, and Jeff Bezos have also joined the art game. Now, traditionally, when you invest in a piece of art, you're buying it with the expectation that the price of the piece will increase over time and you can sell it for a profit. But that is easier said than done. The problem of investing in this market is that art is normally super expensive, like we're talking millions of dollars a piece, which makes investing in art impossible for people like you and me. But there are platforms and ways to access buying art more easily, so it's definitely worth checking out. Okay, so the next investment is coins, which is also high on the list of weird things to put your money into. But like all of the other investments on this list, it can be very profitable. The well-known coin collector John Pittman spent decades building up a coin collection, and you'll be surprised at how much he was able to profit from all the time he spent researching and negotiating. Over the course of his lifetime, Pittman invested around $100,000 in his collection, and after his death, the coins would sell for over $30 million. So if you have an eye for coins or collectibles, there's some really great options to get started with, such as modern bullion coins, the Canadian maple leaf silver coins, and the American gold eagles. The good thing is that many coins gain value, and if you ever want to sell your collection, you'll most likely get all of your investment back, which is definitely a good quality that you do want for your investments. Investing in coins is a long-term investment, and you shouldn't just go into it trying to flip coins for a quick profit, because most successful coin investors had a long-term vision that took years to build. Nowadays, with the internet, it's much easier to find, learn, and research coin collecting. Okay, so moving on to the next non-traditional investment, we have watches. So the watch world is absolutely crazy and it's also one of the most profitable on this list, at least as of recently. For example, if you follow channels like the Timepiece Gentleman, you see how much the value of watches has increased in the last few years. Many people think of watches as something for the rich to collect, but if you are a fan of putting your money into worthy assets, you probably know that watch collecting is definitely a profitable hobby. A report from McKinsey shows that pre-owned luxury watch market is set to be the industry's fastest growing retail segment, topping $29 billion by 2025. On average, Rolexes have gained 21% or more in value in the past year, which is just absolutely crazy considering we're talking about watches that you can literally wear. Another really cool thing about watches is that the markets sell fast, meaning that your investment becomes a pretty flexible asset that can easily and safely be turned back into cash and profit. As long as you choose the right type of watch and buy at the right price, it will likely hold its value or go up over time. So even though most watches are held for a shorter amount of time, unlike wine, there's still a really amazing investment that you can use to make profit, and you get to wear a timepiece on your wrist. Next up is another secret world of investing that the ultra wealthy do, where you literally invest in startup companies that have a 90% plus chance of failing in return for equity. Back in the early 2000s, 50 Cent became a venture capitalist for the company behind Vitamin Water to launch his own Vitamin Water brand. Formula 50 gave him a 5% equity stake in the company. This investment into a company that had nothing to do with 50 Cent's rapping career proves to be a really smart decision, because once it was bought by Coca-Cola in 2007, 50 Cent earns over $50 million. It's risky, but if you invest in enough companies, then there's a chance that one becomes a 100 bagger, which is where people win. You can even invest in venture capital through companies like Sweater, meaning you're putting your money in a fund that uses that money to invest in VC, and you can get a portion of those gains. Overall, there's lots of potential in VC, but you have to know that even if the company's valuation grows, meaning that your investment grows as well, you can't realize the gains very easily at all. The company still has to be bought or go public for you to actually realize those gains. And if they don't, your investment literally goes to zero. But if and when the gains do come, they will likely be significant. Just know that for most angel investing in venture capital, you will have to be an accredited investor to participate. So there are income requirements as well as net worth requirements. Now, finally, without doubt, the highest ROI for almost everyone watching this video is starting a business. We're huge proponents of starting your own business or side hustle, and more specifically, starting off with a service-based business that can literally 100 to 1,000 times your initial investment. For example, a great service-based business you could consider starting today is an email marketing agency. You help people write marketing emails in exchange for a monthly retainer or fee. The startup cost is just a computer and internet connection, things that you probably already have, as well as knowledge about writing good, persuasive emails. With this, it's possible that you turn a $1,000 laptop purchase or investment into, let's say, $10,000 of fees per month, which is completely doable. So bam, 120x return on your investment in the first year. Lots of businesses can also be sold, meaning if you do it right, you'll own a business that makes positive cash flow each month and build equity in a business that can later be sold for a substantial amount of money. Investing in businesses is probably going to give you the best ROI. Yes, you can lose some money on various businesses, but eventually you'll get a business that becomes a cash flow machine and makes all of those previous losses look like nothing. Entrepreneurship can be the best ROI out of all the investments that you make in your life. Anyways, so that's it for today's video, and of course with all investing, especially these more non-traditional investments that normally carry a lot more risk, you definitely need to do your own due diligence and research. If any of these things entices you, learn more about it, practice with a little bit of money, and eventually maybe one of these non-traditional investments can make you a ton of money. Anyways, we really hope that you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit that like button and also subscribe for more videos just like this. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you in the next video.